Whoa, how does our thinking work? Why can't the human mind comprehend the idea of God? What is a categorical imperative? Reading Immanuel Kant's work is challenging, even for those who have written dissertations about him.
If you have opened my works and found them difficult to understand, rest assured that you are not alone. However, I, Immanuel Kant, take pride in being recognized as one of the most important figures in the history of philosophy. The depth of my thoughts, the clarity of my argumentation, and the breadth of illuminated problems I address continue to be relevant even in the 21st century.
To understand Kant, it is necessary to study the fundamental concepts and ideas through which he constructs his reasoning. And that's what we'll do. Let's start with the basics. Kant formulated three main questions for himself. What can I know? What should I do? And what can I hope for? Each of them leads us to the ultimate question. What is a human being? It is precisely the problem of humanity that Kant's entire philosophy is dedicated to. Kant's central works could be considered the three critiques: the critique of pure reason, the critique of practical reason, and the critique of judgment. These works logically develop three main areas of Kant's investigation.
In the critique of practical reason, I delve into the realm of moral philosophy and expound upon the principles of duty ethics.
From the critique of judgment, Kant's conclusions lead us to what we call the beautiful and why. In our video, we will focus on the theoretical and practical parts of Kant's philosophy. It is here that we can find all the key ideas necessary for understanding his philosophy. Let's examine them in order. Kant claims that all our knowledge can be divided into two parts: our cognitive ability and what we perceive. It is important to understand what exactly we perceive and how the world is divided. The first part is things in themselves, or the nominal world, which exists independently of us. Kant is convinced that nothing can be said with certainty about this world of things in themselves, as it lies beyond our cognition. On the other hand, there is the realm of appearances, or phenomena, which includes everything that falls within the realm of our consciousness and everything we can comprehend. Furthermore, Kant asks, how does our cognition of phenomena work? We recall our first metaphor. Knowledge is what we perceive, and our cognitive ability is what allows us to perceive.
Our cognitive ability perceives and presents to our consciousness only the world given to it. So, what exactly is our cognitive ability? Here is where it gets interesting. I'll explain it through a metaphor.
Imagine yourself on a meadow at night. You can't see anything, but you assume that there is a world around you. This world in the darkness is the world of things in themselves, which we can only hypothesize about. Now, imagine you have a flashlight. The flashlight represents your consciousness. When you turn it on, it illuminates a certain space around you. This light of our consciousness illuminates the entire world around us, but only what is illuminated by the light becomes a phenomenon and is revealed to our consciousness. This is how Kant suggests that to investigate our cognitive ability, we must first explore not the world we perceive, but the cognitive apparatus through which we gain our experience. In other words, we need to study our flashlight. The first thing that goes into it is the a priori forms of sensibility. The light of our consciousness illuminates the entire world around us, but as soon as you direct the flashlight there, the world transforms into a phenomenon and becomes revealed to our consciousness. So, as Kant suggests, to explore our cognitive ability, we need to primarily investigate not the world itself that we perceive, but the cognitive apparatus through which we gain our experience. In other words, we need to study our flashlight. Here, Kant begins to examine how our cognitive machine operates. The first thing that enters it are the a priori forms of sensibility. A priori knowledge refers to knowledge that is given to us prior to any experience. For example, this includes time and space. Referring back to the meadow example, a priori knowledge is like the flashlight that we don't pick up on the meadow, but have from the beginning. On the other hand, a posteriori knowledge refers to knowledge that is derived from our experience. So we start with a flashlight, which is our cognitive ability through which we acquire knowledge about the world. It begins with sensory experience preceded by the a priori forms of sensibility. Kant derives two of them, space and time.
I make a truly revolutionary claim. I propose that space and time are not independent entities existing outside of human consciousness. Instead, I argue that they are intimately connected to the human mind.
The fact that the world is given to us in space and time is not an essential part of the world itself, but rather the conditions of our cognitive ability. We perceive the world only in space and time because, as human beings, we cannot do otherwise. But let's move forward from the world of things in themselves. An object presents itself to us and affects our senses. The first thing we perceive is the manifold of the object's forms, and then reason comes into play. Our reasoning consists of concepts and categories that allow us to understand and perceive objects. When we encounter something, our senses first perceive its form, which we then compare to our concepts. This cognitive process gives birth to knowledge. However, reason has its limits, including the idea of God. Reason can prove the existence or absence of God, as well as the soul and the world. Yet this knowledge is beyond human reason's reach. Reason cannot directly perceive, and senses cannot think. True knowledge arises from their combination. Kant explores practical philosophy, focusing on ethics. He identifies inclination, fear, and duty as factors influencing moral actions. True morality lies in acting based on duty alone. The categorical imperative is the cornerstone of Kant's moral philosophy. It calls us to act based on a universal moral law, rather than personal desires. This autonomous ethics applies to all situations and individuals. Kant's philosophy remains significant in the history of philosophy. It comprehends the foundation of human thinking and presents a unique concept of morality. Contemporary philosophy continues to engage in an intellectual dialogue with Kant, recognizing the enduring impact of his ideas.